Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm happy to be here with you at the end of the week, finishing up my efforts this week to talk about friends. And I'll go back to where it started. If you have some really good friends, you're blessed. Most people don't. Most people don't even have one really good friend. And I know for some of you listening to me, that sounds, well, impossible. But it really isn't. And if you're listening to me and you don't have many close friends, well, I have some good news for you today. There's one friend we can all have. Let's read today in John 15, one of my, not favorite, but more frequently read chapters. John 15, verses 12, 13, and 14. Here's what it says. This is my commandment. Love each other in the same way I have loved you. There is no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. Jesus is always giving commands. God does too. And unfortunately, here in our culture, we don't like commands. We like to choose for ourselves. We like to say, and to some degree it's true, but not nearly the degree that it gets publicized, that I have the right to make my own decision. Well, I really do, as long as my decision doesn't infringe on your decision, and then that's a whole different situation. I don't have the right to drive the car down the road when I'm drunk, which of course, well, I shouldn't say of course, but it is, of course. I've never been. But I don't have the right to do that because if I do, I might endanger you. And that's a whole different issue. So here, God says that this is my command, that we are to love each other in the same way that He has loved us. And He then tells us what that way is. There's no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends. Well, it's clear Jesus laid his life down for ours. And it's also clear He didn't have to do that. Nobody forced Him. He chose to do that. And in choosing to do that, He enabled you and me and everybody to have eternal life. So I'm glad He did. Otherwise, I didn't really stand a chance. And no, neither does anybody else. We just keep messing up. So He says here, there's no greater love for a friend than to lay down your life for theirs. Now, I don't think Jesus means literally, though that might come to be. Certainly in cases of conflict, people lay down their lives for others. Certainly in cases of, like with the police or other helping, sometimes you lay your life down for them. I've known lots of people who needed transplants. And it's not that somebody chose to be a transplant donor, but because of some tragedy, they are able to save the lives of many others. The notion that my life is good for helping someone else is a different notion than a lot of people have. My life is not to enhance me, to look important, to gain prestige, power, things like that. My life is given to me in order to help others. Now, I don't say that because I'm a preacher. And I know lots of people think preachers are somehow really different. And maybe we are, but generally we're not. But we willingly should, all of us, share what we have for the benefit of someone else. My wife, I don't want to say she fusses at me, but she rolls her eyes at me. She says I buy more coats than anybody she ever knew and more shoes. Now, if you listen to her, you think I have a whole room full, but I don't, because I'm always giving away a coat or giving away shoes. I think I have one, two, three, 4 pairs of shoes right now and a pair of winter boots. Um, but I've probably had 20 pairs in the last 3, 4 years. And if something happens and they don't seem to fit as well, or they really weren't what I turned out, thought they were going to be, I just give them away. And I do that because God has given me enough financial resources. I can afford to do that. Maybe you can't, but in that area I can. So why not? I can always bless somebody with another pair of shoes. And I try not to wear them out too much. So they get a fairly new pair. All compliments of some person they never met, while that person's wife looks at him and says, "You're just strange." But what can you give away? What can you give to benefit someone else? Well, as I've said during this time of friends, if you don't have a friend, then be a friend and you'll get a friend. So you could give yourself away to someone else who needs time and needs comfort and care. Certainly, Jesus gave himself away to all kinds of people. And this goes on, this passage, it ends up with a phrase I don't know, it just continues to stir my heart every time I think about it. He says that, "Now you are my friends if you do what I command you." In other words, if we do what Jesus tells us to do, and you would think someone who wanted to be a Christian, that'd be a pretty simple, matter of fact choice. Of course you would, but evidently not. If you do what Jesus commands, then the result of that is he calls you his friend. I would like to suggest that there is no better title anywhere in the world than being a friend of Jesus. It may not have the prestige and the ability to force others to do things like other titles do. It may not be recognized in the world of the social world of how we organize it, but it's the greatest title you could ever have. And so today I want to encourage you. Do the things of Jesus. Be called his friend. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you have a really great weekend. Hope you've had a good week. I'll be back next week with another topic to share. But if you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thanks so much for listening. God bless you. Take care.